Hello fellow psychonauts and those new to this channel, this is Interbeing Art, and today I want to talk about, and I'm just going off script here, I want to talk about primitivism, transhumanism, and Techno-Gaianism, which these concepts can be a little bit intimidating if you're new to these ideologies. So with this video, I want to give you a basic understanding of these concepts and also give some of my opinions on them. So primitivism or AnarchoPrimitivism is a collection of anarchistic ideas and the critique of human history that the shift from hunter-gatherer to agriculture was basically a mistake that caused large-scale coercion, alienation, and overpopulation. Through deindustrialization and the abolition of the division of labor, AnPrims aim to reclaim a feral state through a process called rewilding. Some of the more radical AnPrims go as far as calling for the abolition of all technologies, including symbolic language. Anarcho-primitivists are often characterized as proclaiming that we need to abandon all of our technologies and go straight back to hunter and gatherers, which would be very ableist and cause devastation upon humanity. The population would plummet as people would not have access to hospitals and all the other technologies that we've grown accustomed to today. But generally, they do advocate that we do take praxis in the process of rewilding ourselves back into that feral state. We could talk at great length at all the different possibilities of how we would begin to rewild ourselves, but rewilding definitely takes more than camping once a year. And the concept of deindustrialization is the idea that even if we unionize and overthrow our bosses, that factories are still inherently destructive to nature, and basically all of our technology is doing damage to the ecosystem. And this is a very valid critique. However, I do believe we could make technology that would be self-sustaining and actually work within the ecosystem through Techno-Gaianism. Anarcho-primitivists also talk about how society is doomed to collapse, and this process of rewilding is part of a process of prepping for this future state. And that's very much a post-apocalyptic sort of view. However, you cannot live an AnPrim life on a dead planet. We should not call for the accelerated collapse of a society to start an AnPrim lifestyle. We can start AnPrim lifestyles today, and that's some praxis that we could possibly take part in if we dedicate ourselves. And I understand where this urge comes from because our bodies have been evolved to adapt in that environment. That's the environment that we came from. In my mind, the complete opposite of primitivism is transhumanism. And this is the idea that technological evolution is exceeding the rate, greatly exceeding the rate of biological evolution. Like I said before, our bodies have still evolved to suit the environment of 100 or 200,000 years ago. Meanwhile, our minds and our technologies are greatly and rapidly accelerating. So it's the idea that our technology is going to merge with our biological evolution. And this has already started happening. It started happening a long time ago. I mean, these clothes can be thought of as technologies. These glasses are a technology. So like not all technology is electrical. You don't even have to look too far in the past to see that our technology has been rapidly advancing. Since the first telephone, then we had computers and cell phones and then internet, and now we're basically stuck with our phones now. Look, I just got a message now. For a while, I actually tried to avoid cell phones. I guess I was a bit of a primitivist myself. I really was afraid of technology for a long time, and now my cell phone is basically a part of my body. I can hardly be in another room without my cell phone. And it's greatly expanded our psychological interconnectedness. If you think about it, it's kind of like being psychic. We are evolving to have a hive mind. We can talk to people all around the world instantly through this means. So after looking into the past now, you can see into the future, things are only going to keep accelerating faster and faster. And there's a lot of transhumanists that are already predicting the what's called the technological singularity, this point where we'll be so advanced that there'll just be this huge major break in all of reality. This could come in the form of AI, artificial intelligence. This could come in the form of virtual reality, which is my leaning. My conception of where the technological singularity that we're approaching is that once we find out the mechanisms of action, that psychedelics are able to totally reorchestrate our brain's computing to construct a completely different reality, a different room with completely autonomous beings, all constructed within our minds. Our brains have that capability, and we've proven that it has that capability through a number of different routes. So I don't think it's inherent to these chemical substances. I think once we can find out how our brains can construct realities, including this one, this is a completely a brain in a vat situation here, that everything you've ever known is completely in our minds. And if we can find out how our brains are able to construct this reality, we'll be able to construct boundless, infinite realities. Like once we develop a technology to do that, and that will be human-made, physical, technological transcendence in a sense. And this is a singularity that will just totally break all boundaries. Trying to imagine what this would be like is almost like impossible. It would start out being like, oh, I want to be a little smaller. Okay, now I'm smaller, I can be a little bit taller. I can fly, okay. I can take any form I want. I can be any color I want. It starts becoming more and more boundless, where you can take any form, you can take multiple forms at once. It's completely inconceivable of what our brains and our minds unleashed in a virtual environment that would be like. The technological singularity, in my opinion, is it's inevitable, and it can happen in many forms. So we really need to take the wheel, start looking forward to this event that's going to happen, quite possibly even in our lifetimes, and start steering it toward a brighter, more ethical transformation. We can imagine that if this technological singularity goes into the wrong hands and ends up being bad, it can be really bad. I mean, you can be sent to an eternity in hell. You could be like a Borg and zombified, you know. Maybe AI will just want to destroy the planet and we'll have robots killing everybody. If we put somebody greedy, which capitalism will definitely do, in the driver's seat like Elon Musk, we're going to be steered into a hellish technological singularity, because those people who hoard these massive amounts of wealth, and they're the ones that are steering this technological evolution right now. The people that are hoarding all that wealth while people are starving, you know that they are self-interested. So they will keep the technology for themselves and let everybody die if that's what it takes. You know, they are completely self-interested. That's why I identify as anarcho-transhumanist, meaning that I want to seize the means of production from these wealth hoarders, these great dominator types who feel like it is solely on them in this complex that humans have made called the great man theory, that it's all history is being led by these select few great minds and everybody follows them, which I think is bullshit. I think we have to give the power back to the workers. Elon Musk exploits his workers, and they are the ones who are developing this technology. Ideally, by seizing the means of production, we, the lower class, the proletariat, can steer this technological singularity into ideally a more utopian singularity transcendence. Now I'll talk a little bit about Techno-Gaianism, which to me is a good bridge between primitivism and transhumanism, because even in myself, I'm scared of technology. Like I said, in high school, I was totally spent all my lunch breaks and sometimes skip class just to be out in the woods, just to be by myself in nature. Was totally phobic of computers, the internet, and cell phones. And so I totally understand this impulse, and I still have it, just to like be one with nature and like what I feel like was originally my body's purpose, to survive and be integrated into the ecological process. The technological evolution, it's a train that we're all on now, and I don't think we can hop off. And so I think this is where Techno-Gaianism can be of great assistance. Techno meaning technology, and then Gaianism is a branch of philosophy dealing with this idea that Earth is one organism instead of a biosphere, that it is an organism. And there's a lot of argument of what constitutes an organism, what's the difference between an organism and a biosphere. There's undeniable branches of Techno-Gaianism, and then there's more radical branches of Techno-Gaianism. The more radical one is the idea that all Earth is a Gaian mind, and it's a single organism, and it knows where it's going, and it's preparing, and it can see into the future, or at least sense what's happening and respond to environmental pressures. It like wants to create life, and we're a part of its mind. And that's I don't know. I definitely like to entertain that theory, but again, I would avoid having faith in anything you can't prove. Although taking high doses of psychedelics, you can definitely get that sense and judge for yourself. Gaianism is undeniable. Like, you can think of a human body as a biosphere, technically. We are composed of countless little tiny organisms, and they're all working together. And they're doing their own thing. I'm not sure if they have a sense that they're a part of this greater organism, just as we don't really have a sense that we are a part of a greater organism. Semantics aside, Techno-Gaianism is the effort to steer transhumanist agendas and future goals to be more eco-friendly. Right now, our technology seems to be greatly harming nature. We are plowing and bulldozing forests and polluting our waters. We need to start making technologies to revert this process and again integrate ourselves into the ecological process. And this time with greater technology to speed up the healing from the damage that we have already caused. Climate change is very real, and it is undeniably due to human fault. 70% of the fault of climate change is due to just 100 companies. And they relentlessly are trying to put the blame on the consumers without acknowledging that consumers are being forced to consume. We have no other choice. They say we have a choice between brands, but really, buying electric cars is not really an option right now. And so what they do is tax us heavily to like shame on you for buying the products that we're kind of forcing you to buy. Hopefully this will phase things out. We don't have time to phase things out, you know? We have to seize the means. Seize the means. Take the driving wheel back into our hands. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you are among the privileged class that I am trying to aim this toward, because we are the ones closest, or relatively, we are closer than most of the human population to alter the course of this technological advancement. We as consumers, we have great ability, but we need to reunite and harness this energy. As individuals, we have very little choice. Trying to consume as ethically as possible, there is no ethical consumption under this regime, under capitalism, under the status quo. Every single thing is being exploited. It is the foundation of capitalism. Underpay your workers to get as much profit as possible. That's why Elon Musk keeps breaking up unions. That's why unions are even so taboo. But unions gave us the weekend. Unions made it so that we only work 8 hours a day. Unions gave us a lunch break. And it's this idea that we have to unionize, we have to be a community We have to be social. We have to start being open and talking to each other. That's how we gain strength. It starts with you, definitely. Sure, clean your room and, you know, get your life straight. But I mean, to an extent, because we are also individually always growing, you know? Your room's gonna get messy sometimes. That's not gonna stop you from caring about political issues, about caring about the planet. You know, your room can be a total write-off, your life can be a mess, but you can still be an activist. So in conclusion, we should acknowledge and recognize the state and stage of our evolution. And once we recognize that, devote ourselves to changing the course of the future. Thank you all very much for watching. Please, I encourage you all to create your own content and do what you can to create a better future for everyone. And I really want to give special thanks to my patrons, Nova Caiine, Martin Richards, Klaudia, Jason Lloyd, and Rainbow Droid. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. I thank you all very much. Please consider donating to my Patreon. The links are in the description. Follow me on Instagram and feel free to DM me. I love hearing about your trip reports. This is an ongoing conversation, and I hope to keep this going, and I'll see you all in the next video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell. Safe travels, fellow psychonauts.